Good morning, student. Now, today we will start the next topic of class 10th Science Life Process Part 6. And today we will discuss the respiratory system in human being. In previous, we studied about the respiration and what are the different type of respiration and what is the difference between these two type of respiration. Here, the respiration system, the passage of air through the respiratory system, how the air is passed to all part of the body, means the cell which is present in the body or the tissue, and this will be organized by the respiratory systems from nostril to the blood capillaries. And the first part, the air is nostril, in which the air is passed, and this nostril contains the passage which is known as nasal passage, which lining with this nasal passage is containing some hairs and also lining with the mucus in the nasal cavity. The hair present inside the nasal cavity and the layer of mucus which prevent the dust particles or some impurities, mean they act as a filtration, and which prevent the dust particles or filter the air and pass further. And then the air from the air cavity is passed to the pharynx, and this pharynx is the part which carry the air as well as food. It means it is the part of the air passage also and also part of the digestive tract system. It is connected from mouth to the larynx, or we can say esophagus, not to the windpipe, completely windpipe, but above the larynx, connected to the larynx, or we can say the esophagus, and also to the nasal passage to the esophagus. It means we can say the pharynx is the part which is connected to the nasal cavity and mouth to the esophagus or to the larynx, and then the air is passed from pharynx to the larynx, and larynx is generally a sound box which controls the sound, pitch or volume which spoken by a person or a human being, and this larynx is present after the pharynx, and the air is passed from larynx to the trachea. This trachea is also the tube-like structures, and these all three parts are present in the throat. It means we can say pharynx and larynx these are part in the neck, and these also present in the throat. Generally, this is the combination which are present in the throat, and this pharynx and larynx. Above the larynx, there is a flap-like structure, leaf-like structure over the larynx. Why? What is its function? Here is a leaf-like structure. Like leaf-like structure, here is the food pipe and is the windpipe. Larynx up to this, the pharynx is present, and the esophagus, this is the esophagus. These are the two like pipe. One is, we are assuming the food is passed through this pipe, and this pipe air is passed. This is as a windpipe and this is food pipe. And larynx is present in windpipe here, and is over the larynx. It contains the leaf-like structure, flapper structure, like a leaf-like structure, or we can say flapper, which prevent the food or which does not allow the food to go inside the windpipe at the time of taking food. Means it ensures that food is not passed to the windpipe. It will close when we take the food, and when we speak, when we take inhale, then it will open, and when we take food, it will automatically close. Like this, it will open and close. Flap-like or leaf-like structure which ensure the prevent of the food to go into the larynx or into the food pipe. And this is the esophagus. Therefore, and this throat having the ring of cartilage. What is the function of the ring of cartilage? Why it provided the ring of cartilage? Ring of cartilage ensure the sufficient supply of air or oxygen into the windpipe. Mean the throat or windpipe will not collapse in presence of air of ring of cartilage. If ring of cartilage will not present, then the windpipe will collapse and air will not pass to the windpipe. It means this throat contains the ring of cartilage, ensure the sufficient supply of air or oxygen in the windpipe. And after the trachea, after the trachea, the wind is reached to the lungs. Within the lungs, there are the small tube-like structure which is known as bronchi, which supply the air to the lungs through the bronchi holes, which is again smaller tube-like structure. And these bronchi holes carry the pure oxygenated air to the alveoli. It means within the lungs there are smaller and smaller tube-like structures which are known as bronchi and bronchi holes, and which are terminated at the end of the lungs is a balloon-like structure. This balloon-like structure is known as alveoli. And this balloon-like structure alveoli is the part which increase the surface area to absorb the maximum amount of air, and these alveoli are further connected to the blood capillaries or blood vessels, which carry the pure blood, oxygenated blood, and reach to the target tissue where the cell or the tissue need. It means alveoli carry the oxygenated blood and also absorb the carbon dioxide, and oxygenated blood carry from the alveoli to the all the cell, all the tissue through the blood capillaries, and impure blood mean carbon dioxide from all part of the body in the blood will reach to the alveoli, and then that will be during the process of exhalation that will be removed out from our body during the process of exhalation. This is the process of respiratory system, and this alveoli is the increase the surface area like the villi which is present. Alveoli is work similar to the villi which is present in the digestive system, and which increase the surface area for the maximum absorption of oxygen or the air, and this air is supplied to each part of the organ of the cell of the tissue which required oxygen. And but the oxygen in the multicellular organism or the complex body design, the diffusion of oxygen to all part of the cell is not sufficient. Therefore, they require the respiratory pigment, and the respiratory pigment is hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is the respiratory pigment which carry the oxygen from the atmosphere in the lungs, and that oxygen carried by hemoglobin which is present in RBC, red blood cell, and this oxyhemoglobin mean oxygen which is carry the means oxygen is have the great affinity toward the hemoglobin, easily react with the hemoglobin which is present in red blood cell, and this oxygen is reached to all part of the cell with the help of respiratory pigment. And the respiratory pigment of human being is hemoglobin, which is red in color, present in red blood cell. We know there are the three types of cell in our blood, and we will discuss it later. And that will be and the alveoli also contain the residue volume of air. Some air is always present in the alveoli. Why it is present? When intake of oxygen and releasing of carbon dioxide, it contains the some sufficient volume of air. Why? If the sufficient amount of air is not present, then exchange of gas is not possible. when the sufficient air is present inside it, then it is easy to take the oxygen and releasing the carbon dioxide. Therefore, it contains the residual amount volume of air that sufficient time to oxygen to be taken in. It takes time, residue volume of air is necessary, that will take the sufficient time to take the oxygen and releasing of carbon dioxide. It take the carbon dioxide from all part of the cell with the help of blood and release through the nozzle or nozzle passage. During this process is exhalation and taking of oxygen through the nasal cavity, and that will be inhalation. This is the process of human respiratory system, and the figure you have to draw from the NCERT book, and page number you will check the respiratory system in. And now, what are the mechanism of the breathing? Mechanism of the breathing. Breathing means inhaling or exhaling of the gases. It means when we take oxygen inside, when we take air, then what will happen? Then the ribs will, that will be the ribs, thoracic cavity, chest cavity will expand. When we inhale, chest cavity, the surface area of the chest cavity will increase and the ribs will move in upward. And when we inhale, when the chest cavity will increase, then increase the air, increase in the area of which one? Alveoli. It will also expand to absorb maximum amount of oxygen. This chest cavity will increase, due to which the rib surface will move in upward, which take maximum amount of oxygen. Why? There will be expansion of the alveoli will take place, which absorb the maximum amount of air from the environment, and at this time the diaphragm will also become flat. Diaphragm is partition between the which separate the thoracic cavity. Thoracic cavity means our chest, thoracic cavity, chest cavity, and the digestive organ. Digestive organ means abdomen. That will be the separate the partition between. What is between? This is between chest cavity and the digestive organ, or we can say the abdomen. This is the partition. Between diaphragm is the partition or this present which separate thoracic cavity and the digestive organ, which is known as abdomen. And this diaphragm will become flat, and intake of air will take place, and due to which why it will take maximum oxygen? Due to the increasing in the surface area of expansion of which one? Alveoli. And the air is inside our body. Air volume of lungs will increase, air enter the lungs. Why air enter? Because within the lungs, these are the part of the lungs. These are all the related to within the lungs. These are the part which are bounded within the lungs. It means more oxygen, more air will go inside our body. Therefore, we have to take a long breath. It means inhalation, mechanism of breathing, inhalation. There are two process, inhalation and exhalation. Inhalation, the thoracic cavity, or we can say the chest cavity expand. Chest cavity will expand and rib lift up. Means chest cavity expand, rib lift up, and diaphragm become flat in shape. This diaphragm, when we check this diaphragm below the chest cavity and above the abdomen, that stomach above there is a partition between the chest cavity and the abdomen. There is a diaphragm, and this diaphragm become flat. This diaphragm become flat when we inhale, and the volume of the lungs will increase. Why? Increasing in the surface area of alveoli and take maximum increasing and air enter the lung, and now that oxygenated oxygen will reach to all the cell with the help of blood capillaries. And exhalation means releasing of carbon dioxide. This is inhalation, now exhalation. This area, surface area of this chest cavity will decreased and rib move downward, and this diaphragm is the dome shape will come into its original dome shape structure. This is the shape not flat. Now the shape of the diaphragm is not flat. It is like dome shape, like this one dome shape structure will form. Chest cavity contract, rib move downward. It is move downward, and diaphragm become dome shape, and the volume of the lungs is decreased, and the gases will exit out, and the exit from the lung, and gases. Gas which one? Carbon dioxide exit out from the lungs, and these carbon dioxide are taken by the blood to the alveoli, and then that will be exit through the nasal passage, and exchange of the gas between alveoli and this one. When air which is rich in oxygen bind with hemoglobin, which is hemoglobin in RBC, which is, what is the hemoglobin? Respiratory pigment. Hemoglobin is the respiratory pigment. This oxygen react with hemoglobin, which is the respiratory pigment in RBC, present in RBC. Then O2 is released in the, it means oxygen is released in the alveoli, due to which the oxygen through the blood vessel reach to the tissue or the cell where they need of oxygen. And then the carbon dioxide, this carbon dioxide from all part of the body, from the tissue, from the cell, release carbon dioxide in the blood, which dissolve in blood. Carbon dioxide is easily dissolved in liquid as compared to oxygen. It will carbon dioxide is dissolved in blood. It means that blood through the blood vessels. It means blood through the blood vessels released to the alveolar sacs or the alveoli, and these are from the tissue. Means the carbon dioxide in the blood are come from the tissue, released from the tissue in the blood, and that blood which contain carbon dioxide released in the alveoli or alveoli sac. Sacs mean gap, alveoli gap, and this will be sent out or exhale out or exit through the nostril or the nasal passage. This is the exchange of gas will take place. Here is a non-aquatic terrestrial organism and aquatic organism. What is the terrestrial organism? Terrestrial organism are those organisms which lives on the surface. Terrestrial organism take oxygen from the atmosphere. I think you have done this one. Aquatic animal, the animal which lives in water, and they take oxygen from water in dissolved form, and they take oxygen from the dissolved form. And respiratory plant, respiration in the plant is comparatively simpler than the animal, and therefore the respiration in plant will take place in root, leaves and stem. In root there will be on the surfaces, I think you know it very well, that will be exchange of gas through the stomata. The root, in leaves there is on the surface of the leaves, through the stomata, and in stem there is a lenticell present where the exchange of gases will take place, and last one is on roots where on the surface of the root there will be exchange of gas will take place through the process of diffusion. In plant, the diffusion is comparatively simpler than the organism or than the animal. And in respiration, in plant, respiration take place in three parts. First is on leaves. That will be on the surface of the leaves. It contains the stomata, due to which the exchange of carbon dioxide and oxygen will take place. First in the leaves. Second is stem. In stem, through the lenticell, in the lenticell present in the stem, where the exchange of gas will take place. I think you have done in 9th class also. And on the roots there is a surface of the root, there will be exchange of gas will take place. And already this one will know. I explain you. Our lungs always contain residue volume of air, so that sufficient time for oxygen to be absorbed and carbon dioxide to be released. It means alveoli always contain, or the lungs always contain, lungs or oblique alveoli always, lungs always contain residual amount of volume of gases which has sufficient time to exchange of gas during means in breathing process or in inhaling or exhaling. There is a time required for this reduce this gap. The lungs contain the residual air, and this is the respiratory system which is held in the human being, mechanism of breathing. And next topic we will discuss the transportation, how the blood transport to all part of the body, and which is the transportation organ in our body, and how it work. Heart work means oxygenated blood how reach to the all part of the cell, and deoxygenated blood taking out from the, and also transportation in the plant. We will discuss in next class. Be safe at home. Thanks.